moving on. What have we got next? Well, coming up next, we've got something rather wonderful from a rather wonderful person. This is Midnight from Nimue.
Midnight is a tricksy, unreliable creature. A breath, a whisper held between 11:59 and a second past. Blink, and you may miss it. For those who are born into that whisper of a moment, life will be full of uncanny things, spirits, ghosts, that which no one else admits to seeing. You are born haunted between one day and another. Keep breathing. Keep making time pass through your body and your mind, and all will be well. You have done this, knowingly and unknowingly, so many times before, and you can manage it again tonight, you think. Except that the second hand hasn't moved in far too long, and you should, surely, be able to hear the church bells, and while you think the first one chimed, muted by distance and your own weariness, you are not sure if the note ever ended. You half feel that it resonates still, faint but persistent. There should be another chime by now, but you are caught at the threshold. You want to breathe. It is an awful thing not to be able to inhale, but here you are, with the taste of life on your lips and no means to draw in. Time may not be passing, but seems to stretch nonetheless, and the torment of not sucking air into your starving lungs bears down upon you hard. You wonder if this is death. There is too much time for thinking here, with the frozen clock hand and the encroaching loss of meaning. The human world seems like a frail and distant thing now, so easily lost, so delicate, and you are shocked that previously this was not obvious to you. Life felt so robust. In truth, it had no more certainty than a falling leaf or a discarded feather, less than that, less than cobweb tattered in the early dawn light. You cannot imagine seeing the dawn. This midnight will stretch forever and consume everything. There can be no light. You do not know how to fight this. How do you save yourself and step back into time as a moving flow? Has night moved on without you, leaving you washed up on this dreadful frozen shore? You can still think, but there is more horror in that as your mind continues powerless to act. Perhaps it is just sleep paralysis, you tell yourself, just a strange dream that must eventually release its grip on your troubled body and allow you to breathe in once more. It would have been a kindness if your mind had reacted in the same way as your lungs, but midnight is not kind. You would like to scream, but that calls for air and movement, and there will be none of those. You would like to flail your arms about in response to the unfairness of it all, but this also is denied you. You are trapped, and every notion of escape, every fleeting hope turns you in a tight mental circle you cannot escape from. It seems as though you have been here forever, and that only the miracle of death could spare you from this awful circling, this relentless, impossible trap. In desperation, you try telling yourself stories about how someone will rescue you. A cat will break into your house and jump on your shoulder, ending the spell. A friend will think of you late at night and decide that they must see you at this very instant, and somehow they will be here, and their smile will set the clock ticking again. Is there anyone who loves you enough that they would think to come looking? You suspect there is not. It is a dreadful, lonely feeling that sinks in slowly. There is no rescue coming, and all you have is tatters of memories and ideas. Can you invent enough tales to sustain you forever? Can you live in this pause? Are there enough dreams to make this bearable, or will you succumb to madness in the end? In the absence of an end. It is midnight, and all we have left are stories.
So a wonderful piece there from Nimue Brown called Midnight. Do we have enough stories? Well, we have quite a few tonight, and we also have some songs, and we also have some other things which I cannot describe, mainly because I can't remember. We've got quite a lot coming up actually, and we will be hearing again from Nimue with another wonderful piece, which is, I would have to say, not quite so dark. I want to get in on the act now. I'm sorry, I'm getting in on the act. Lots of people are doing stuff, so I wanted to do stuff. So I have composed a poem. Yes, I have a poem here. I'm stretching my poetry muscles. And this one is about hopeless Maine. So I hope you like this. On the Isle of hopeless Maine, the weather is always insane. There's never rhyme nor reason. Pointless is the weather vane. It's insidious and perplexing. At the very least, it's very vexing. But there's one peculiar thing, whether autumn, summer, or spring, a dangerous weirdness does persist. The mist, the mist, the mist. The Hopeless Maine Scientific Society, not known particularly for its propriety, has studied the phenomenon using tests of great variety. Despite their efforts most fastidious, all they can say is, well, it's insidious. The experts are dumbfounded, astounded and confounded, even Arkwright, the anthropologist. The mist, the mist, the mist. It's a certain kind of fog that smells of soggy dog. Weird faces lurk within the gloom, too many to catalogue. There are eyes and things that hum, and things that brush your bum. Dark tendrils reaching out, taking hair and casting about, like a demented hairstylist. The mist, the mist, the mist. It affects your mood and makes you sad, or melancholic, or occasionally glad. But there's no escaping its devilment. Stay out too long and you'll go mad. It gets in your hair and your underwear, always growing, always glowing, a cloud with a Lovecraftian twist. The mist, the mist, the mist. When returning from the inn, after all the medicinal gin, you'd better watch your step and make sure that you're within. For if you are outside when the mist does betide, you'd better beware, you'd better take care, especially if you're pissed. The mist, the mist, the mist. Thank you. So that was a poem I wrote called Insidious, because there was a comment made about the mist, and this is what happens in Hopeless Maine. People make comments, and you have conversations, and all of a sudden something goes bang in your head, and then you have to, then you have to kind of write something down, and it kind of does the things, and I think after that, I feel like I need some musical. That's what I need. Now, who do we call on when we want musical? Let me think. Who could we call on? Well, of course, there is only one pair of people in the steampunk world who are fabulously known for musical, and not only that, they have a song. They have a song about the very thing, or one of the very things that we're kind of discussing tonight. So let's have a song, shall we? Let's have a musical song.
Here are had this awful carbuncle on my shoulder.
That's no carbuncle, Tilly. That's the great old one, Cthulhu.
Good for your gods.
No, Tilly. Quite the reverse. Let me tell you about him. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with stranger yawns even death may die. There's not a danger out in the black, so be jolly afraid, because he's coming back. Don't look for him coming in the night, he's already here, but hidden from your sight. One day he'll rise up out of the sea, and one glimpse is all it takes to lose your sanity. Cthulhu's the word, is the word that you heard in my yearly night dreaming. Cthulhu's outside time and place and emotion. Cthulhu's the reason we're screaming. Now listen to this, it's very important.
Alright.
He is the greatest of the greater ones. He is the darkness that even sunlight shuns. His tentacles will drag us all away. He'll devour the earth on that final day. Cthulhu's the word. Cthulhu's the word, is the word that you heard in my yearly night dreaming. Cthulhu's outside time and place and emotion. Cthulhu's the reason we're screaming. Oh!
Your safety is an illusion, awaiting destruction, insane confusion, deadly eruption.
We see his mask rise and we run away. Our sanity belongs to yesterday. That is the dead which can eternal lie, and with stranger yawns, even death may die. Cthulhu's the word. Cthulhu's the word, is 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 the word.
You are watching EBC Television.
Fabulous. That was the Cogkneys there, Carl and Andrea with Cthulhu's the Word. And as you probably noticed, when I put up a little notice on the screen there that Andrea mentions they have a lot of other Cthulhu songs, which are all going to be put in one show later this year. Do check out their YouTube channel. They have lots of different things on there, and they do put together theme shows, and they do a good show. What have we got next? Well, next we have a wonderful story, and this story is written by David Bridger, and it's read by Adam Horovitz, who has a lovely voice. Like Adam, he's got a lovely voice. So here we are. This is Blue, read by Adam Horovitz.
Blue by David Bridger. Have you found Blue yet? Danny and Claire are no longer enemies, but her texts still carry echoes of their brief war. And she knows exactly what he'll be doing at 4 o'clock this afternoon, or on any afternoon of the week. He's taking his sketch pad and a mug of hot red berry tea outside to sit on their love seat under the arbour. From there, he'll watch the day's deep darkness grow inside the forest. And possibly he'll draw the wildflower garden again. Or more probably, he'll draw Blue again. The carved oak bench was his 7th wedding anniversary gift to Claire, and the sturdy arbour above was her gift to him on that same bright winter's day. No flowers or fruit have ever issued from the complicated ceiling of grapevines she wove through it. Fallen vine leaves lie in a thin new carpet beneath his boots, and the afternoon air carries its first chill of autumn. He nips back into the hallway for his old combat jacket, inhaling its friendly forest smell as he shrugs it on and tries again to jam the front door open against the springy resistance of a knee-high pile of junk mail in the tiled porch. As soon as the house was theirs, back in those happy newlywed days and enjoying the first flush of his commercial success, they turned it around to face the forest. What had been its imposing Victorian front elevation became a silent dismissal of the outside world, with the old front door bricked up and all the windows shuttered. They hadn't even used any of the old front rooms, preferring to focus their domestic life on the impressionist wildflower garden out back and the deep, ancient woodland that all but encircled them. Claire had removed the old front path and laid a new one around to their entrance at the rear. He doesn't reply to her text until he's settled on the bench and taken his first sip of steaming tea. Still looking. Danny and Blue have been good for each other. A human baby stolen from their cradle and named for their eyes that are sharp and startlingly different from the big, golden-flecked brown ones all around them. They've grown in courage and wisdom until they command the respect of their adopted people and lead their own guerrilla band of Fey fighters in the forest war. 10 years ago, it was they who helped Danny to build a rapid-rise career as a comic book artist. And yes, Claire was correct when she said that in Blue he described his perfect love. His current sketchbook is filled with page after page of their face, but not even the hint of a storyline. The Fey Forest series is stalled. He's left them in an impossible climactic situation, and he can't bear to draw them out of it. He can't let them go. He sketches them again with quick, sure pencil strokes, sitting alongside him on the bench and sipping tea. They're so real, he could talk with them. This is the last of the red berry tea. Claire picked and dried the berries. I don't know which ones are safe. Blue doesn't answer. They stare into the forest from his page. He watches with them until his legs get cold. Claire's absence is a ghost in the room Danny's life has shrunk into since she left him. She stares out from dark, dusty corners framed by dancing firelight shadows and observes without comment that their faded old leather sofa is now his bed. He slumps on the solid slate bench inside the inglenook fireplace, stretching out his legs and wriggling warmth into his besocked toes, while his little pan of porridge oats simmers and burps quietly beside the open flames. He's nearly out of oats, all out of tea, and he toasted his last slice of stale bread a week ago. And the larder isn't his only empty cupboard. Autumn is killing light bulbs every evening, and he's down to his single remaining church candle. Sooner or later, he'll have to walk to the village shop and pretend not to notice the sideways glances. People in the village always liked Claire, but they've never been sure about him. He supposes the kindest description they could apply is eccentric. Those who prefer blunt honesty will use odd or weird. He can imagine them calling him the artist, with a certain inflection of the voice and a knowing look shared. And they'll be right. He expects they wonder what she ever saw in him. He's always wondered that, too. They probably thought they knew what he saw in her. Practical Claire, doing everything for him, managing his everyday life so he could get on with creating Blue's fantasy world. All the way down to making sure his direct debits were in order before she left him, so he wouldn't lose electricity or water while living alone in his little world of make-believe. Love in action, despite the sorrowful circumstances. His heart swells with grief at the enormity of everything he left unsaid to her. Because although all those things the villagers believe are true, they're not the whole truth. He's always loved her. He always will. But if he ever knew what it was that she saw in him, he can't remember now. She certainly never needed him, and it's certainly no one's fault but his own that he lost her. He eats his porridge from the pan, and the final wooden spoonful of it is halfway to his lips when someone raps the heavy brass knocker on his front door. He pauses, listening to see if they'll knock again or give up and leave. They knock again. Firmly. Non-negotiably. Whoever it is, they're not going away. He laces on his boots and steps into the hallway, cupping his palm around the candle to shield its flame when it struggles in a dry draught. He's already homesick for his fireside seat and his lonely solitude. A pale moonlit movement looms outside the green and ruby stained glass at the top of the door, and a single set of fingertips drums a brief scale against the pane. It's Claire. She's the only one who ever does that. She's come home. He throws open the door and steps back in shock. Not Claire. Blue. And Claire. Claire and Blue. Blue and Claire together in one person standing on his doorstep, eyes shining in his flickering candlelight. They stand on tiptoe to kiss his cheek tenderly. They are wild and beautiful. Their scent is of the rich earth and light lavender and freshly fallen leaves. Out there in the shifting gloom at the edge of the forest, their band of fey fighters crouch in postures alert and tense, their entire attention focused outwards at potential dangers from the deep darkness beneath the trees. We need you. They take his hand to draw him into the forest if he will come. His heart hammers. He wants to voice all the brooding thoughts he's stirred and steeped throughout these last silent weeks. But he can't squeeze them past the big lump in his throat. He can only drink in the vision of them and marvel as love and happiness sing in his veins. I need you. They squeeze his hand urgently. I love you. Their beautiful eyes pierce his confusion and shred his final scrap of uncertainty. He lifts his combat jacket from the newel post, sets his candle flame to the mound of junk mail in the tiled porch, pulls the door shut behind him with a quiet click, and walks with them into the night.
There we go. That was Blue, written by David Bridger and read beautifully by Adam Horovitz there. I like a story with a happy ending, but is that ending happy? It's a good story. Good story.